Hi everybody, this is Brandy with Zoom Roses, and I'm here with you today with another fabulous arrangement. We have started the season of fall, and we have some amazing combo boxes at Zoom. This is part of our fall mix box, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Autumn Breeze crescent arrangement, which is wonderful for your Flower of the Month Club. So let's get started. Let's go through all the things we're going to need for this arrangement. First of all, I found these amazing buckets at Dollar Tree. Again, now they don't have a liner in them, so you are going to have to put something in them to seal it at the bottom before you put in the Oasis foam. You're going to need a half of a brick of Smithers Oasis foam, a little bit of waterproof tape, it never hurts, and then of course your clippers. Now we have these pre-made bouquets right now at Zoom. This is the Autumn pre-made bouquet, and it comes with some fabulous dried leaves and some sago palm and cattails. So today we're going to take one of these apart and use it as our greenery. We won't use the whole thing, but we will use the majority of it. You'll have some things left over. Now in our fall mix box, we have a mix of football mums. We will have some of the bronze mums in your box. You may get these, and you are more than welcome to use these for this arrangement. But for today, we're going to use these big, gorgeous, light yellow football mums. You're going to need 3 of those. You're going to need 1 stem of our bronzy, I just call it the autumn palm that comes in the box. And then 3 stems of the orange daisies and 2 pieces of the yellow solidago. So let's get started. First of all, we are going to need to line our bucket first, and then we're going to use a half of a piece of Smithers Oasis foam and put it down in there snug, a little bit of waterproof tape. Now I know that there is some temptation to fill your bucket up all the way with foam, but there's really no need to. As long as you have a good solid piece in there, you don't have to fill it up all the way. You can wedge in a few pieces on the side if you'd like it not to move around, but there's no need to fill it up all the way to the top. Now let's get started on our greenery. So I'm gonna pop the rubber band off of this and take apart my pre-made bouquet, just like this. I'm gonna be working today with the leather leaf that comes in the box, some of the pit, right there, and then I'll be working with the cattail. There's quite a bit of the dried leaves. You may not even need all of the dried leaves that come in this bouquet. And of course, since they're preserved, you can put them aside and you can use them at another time. And then my palm. Now with the crescent shape, it's going to think about a crescent moon, okay? So we're going to create that crescent moon shape with our large pieces of palm. So I'm gonna strip the bottom a little bit, and then I'm going to start creating that shape. Let's see, get the pretty part of my bucket, just like that. There we go. I'm going to start creating that shape with my greenery. So if you have one piece that's larger than the other, maybe use that for the top of your crescent and use the other piece for the bottom, just like that. So now you have this nice little shape going, and that's going to guide where you put the flowers, okay? Now I'm going to take some of my leather leaf, and I always like to cut up my leather leaf just to use it in pieces instead of a whole piece like this. So I'll cut the top off, and the pointy part, I will use that to help create that crescent shape. So I might put one piece back here, one here. These little pieces are great for covering up foam in the middle. And so then I will just use that to cover up my foam as much as possible. And leather leaf, the leather leaf that comes in these pre-made bouquets can be quite large. So if you were to use the entire piece at one time, it can become very overwhelming to the arrangement. Usually I just use the leather leaf to camouflage my mechanics. I don't really want it to be the star of the show. Now you're going to have quite a bit of the variegated pittosporum. Again, you can keep some of these pieces just the way that they are, long and lean. Any bad leaves, make sure you piece those apart so you can, again, kind of reinforce that crescent shape with your pit so that you don't have just two pieces of palm sticking out there, just like that. Now I can go and find the places on the pit where it can be pieced apart and put that in there as well. So now all of my mechanics are covered and I have a nice little ring of greenery. Just like that, and I'll put some underneath and some over the top. And I like to try to use everything that I can. Even if you have a piece that's not really pretty, you can still use it kind of down in the center to cover everything up. Okay, now let's get our focal flowers. The focal flowers are what's going to create that strong crescent line. So with these football mums, I like to take off any of the leaves down on the bottom of the stem. I'm going to put my first football mum in the center, just like this. And then I'm going to take the other two and create that nice strong line. And you may have to play with this a little bit to get it the way that you want. Just like that. And remember, you always want to cut your stems so that they're sinking several inches down into that oasis foam. You don't want them sitting right on the top of the foam, because once the water starts draining from the foam, it'll dry out on the top first instead of on the bottom. And so that means those flowers that just have their stems down in the oasis foam just a little bit, those are going to dry out first. Okay, so now we have our strong crescent line. I'm going to turn this around just for a moment and check it. There we go. Just like that. And so now we're going to put in our kind of supporting flowers and our filler flowers. So first, let's go with some solidago. We have 2 pieces of solidago. I love our solidago because it can be cut apart, and I always love to cut things apart and use them in several different places. So I'll cut the head off, and then if I've got a few more places where I can make a cut and get several different little blooms, I will do that. And so now I'm just going to fill in the areas around these flowers with the solidago, making sure that I get a little bit of solidago in all parts of the arrangement. So I'll fill in over here. And you'll usually have about 4 to 5 places where you can place solidago when you cut it apart like this. And then I'm going to put it right here. Just so, again, I can support that line and fill in between those focal flowers. Now we have our yellow daisies. Now on these stems of yellow daisies, you are going to get tons of blooms. If you try to use the entire stem of daisies without taking any off the bottom, it can become very overwhelming to the rest of the arrangement because there are so many blooms. So I like to take several off of the bottom and put those aside and use them for something else. And then if you have any damaged blooms, you can remove those. And so you'll get this nice little puff of orange daisy. We have 3 stems of this, so I'm going to place one of them in the back, off towards, let's see, kind of center, just like that. And then I want to support the top part of this crescent with a second stem. But I'm going to tuck these in kind of underneath that big football mum. You don't have to place everything at the same height. You can tuck some things down lower and it gives it some depth. I keep hitting that. There we go. Let's turn you sideways. There we go. Oh, my pit moved a little bit, so I need to move it back. There we go. Now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to support this crescent shape, but I'm going to tuck it underneath, kind of underneath that yellow football mum, just like that. And then the third one, same thing. I'm going to pull some blooms off, just like this. Pull off all that extra greenery. Pull those off, put them aside, and I'll show you something really fun you can do with those in a moment. And then this one, I am going to put over here to support this side of the crescent shape. And very carefully place it down in there. Okay? I can move these around as needed. I don't want them to be too close to each other. I always tell my students, you can always cut the stems off, but if you cut it too short, you can't do anything about that. So, tell them when in doubt, cut it a little bit longer than what you think you might need. Now, let's put in the palms. Now, you're going to get several blooms on one stem. For the sake of keeping balance, I pulled off 5 of these individual blooms to put in this arrangement. Now, by all means, you can cut these apart and you can use several of them throughout the arrangement. You don't have to just use 5, but 5 is a good number. So now I'm going to find little places in between these orange daisies where I can place these fall palms, just to give it that extra pop of color. 1, 2, 3, and you want to try to pick out the ones that have the longest stems. It's always so cute when they're sticking up and above the other flowers. Let's see, maybe put another one back here. And then one more over. Let's see, I've got that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I like to spread them apart. Let's say maybe right here, just like that. There we go. And if you have more, like I said, go ahead and you can cut these apart. So now you have a little tuft of them here, and then you also have a set further down the stem that are taller. And if you want, yeah, you can definitely place them in here to help support that line. And you can fill in the back, since this arrangement has kind of a front and a back, but the arrangement should be filled out all the way through. Then the last part of this is to fill in with the cattails and with the fall leaves. So I'm going to use these 3 cattails, one here to help with that crescent shape, one in front but at an angle, and then one on the other side to support that shape. Now this is the fun part where you can take just pieces of your fall leaves and fill in to give it that pop of red, and it's so beautiful. And I love the fall leaves, these preserved leaves, because again, you don't have to use all of them. You can just use some and then put it away and use those at another time for another arrangement. And they don't necessarily have to sink very deep into the oasis foam because they don't need to drink any water. there you have it. There is our Autumn Breeze crescent arrangement. Super fun, simple, and everybody will love this one.